Brittany, back with another tutorial. Today I'm going to be talking about foot hooping and knee hooping and kind of just give you some tips and tricks on how to nail those foot and knee passes. So first we're going to talk about the foot hooping part. And the beginning is going to be kind of just some exercises that you can practice so that your foot kind of gets used to having a foreign object like a hula hoop on it. We're going to start out on the ground. So go ahead, sit your booty on the ground. Start by having a lasso above your head. I use my right hand. You could do whatever you want. But for your reference, I spin my hoop to the left. So you have your lasso, you're going to lay back on your back. Keep the lasso there, and then as you're sitting here looking at your beautiful hoop, you are going to notice that it opens up right when it's above you. That is when you are handing the hoop off to your foot. Now at that time, when it is open in front of you, the contact point on your hoop is the back of your fingers. And you are passing it off to the sole of your foot. So as soon as it opens up in front of you, you are passing it off right in front of where your hand is. Open, 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 replace, and then it is on your foot. And you can switch your feet. It's different when you're switching feet because when you're switching from your hand to your foot, your contact point on your receiving foot would be the sole of your foot. So the contact point is here when you're passing from your hand. When you're passing from your hand to your foot. But when you're passing from foot to foot, the contact point on your receiving foot, so my left foot, will be the top of my foot. And like that. So you're inserting your foot at the time that the hoop is open over you. Open, switch. Open, 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 switch. And then while you're here, you should notice that my leg isn't moving too much. The movement from the hoop comes from like a flick in your foot. If you move your leg too much, it just kind of gets hectic and you can't really control it as much. But if you just slow it down and flick, 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 you're just flicking it back and forth. And then it should just be staying on like the arch of your foot and the top of your foot. So a big part of foot hooping when you're not laying on the ground is obviously balance. So please know that it will not happen automatically, and it won't happen overnight because you have to kind of build up that balance and strength in your legs to be able to keep one leg up in the air moving and stay balanced. It's your core and your leg strength. It's a pretty dynamic thing. So be patient with yourself. Be kind to yourself. Okay, so moving on to more tips for foot hooping. Have it spinning to the left directly in front of you. You are going to start to pick up your right foot, find your center of gravity in your left leg, and just kind of find your zen. Be balanced. Start to bring the hoop over to your right just a little bit because you're handing it off to your right foot. Now, when you are putting your foot in the hoop, it is when the hoop is out to the right side of you. So, now, the hoop is touching the palm of your hand when it is in that place ready for your foot. And your receiving foot, you should focus on having the hoop touch the outside of your foot, and it will be contacting this far right hand side inside of the hoop. So, find your balance, bring it over, and your foot is going directly behind your hand and touching that lower inside part of the hoop. And then just practice staying here. You can have it in front of you just to practice getting your balance, whatever works for you. The reason I say to try to contact it down and around here with the outside of your foot, it just kind of makes it look a little smoother. Because if you're not aiming for a place on the hoop, then it can kind of look like this. If it hits like the top of your foot, it can kind of bounce around a little bit. But if you aim for, I'm out of breath. If you aim for the outside of your foot and this lower part of the hoop, it kind of just looks a little cleaner. It just looks a little smoother. And from here, it is still just a flick. Instead of an outward flick, like when you're laying down, remember your foot was flicking outward, like away from you. Now your foot is flicking up. So when it hits the top of your foot, you're giving it a little flick up to try to tell it to go up and around again. So something else that helped me when I was learning how to foot hoop is having your big toe flexed really, really hard up to the sky. It looks weird, but it kind of helps the hoop stay on your foot because it kind of gives it that little like area right here of where it is allowed to go. So for foot passes, remember how I said when it's on your foot, you're flicking up to the sky, and that is when the hoop is coming down and around. So you're doing that flick now, now, now. And at that time, that's also when you would pass it in the air. So you would just essentially give it, I'm so out of breath. You would essentially just give it one really hard flick and remove your foot from the hoop so it doesn't stop it from going up. So you're balanced, you're fine, and then you flick up and you kind of lift your leg out of the equation. So while you're learning, just practice flicking it up and then catching it. You can go into like an escalator or something, or you can try to flick it up and towards you to try to do like a chest roll or a back roll or something. So with those passes, you're gonna have to wait a split second later and add a little bit more power to your foot flick so that it goes towards you instead of just up in the air. So pretend that my hand is my foot for demonstration, and if you're going to flick the hoop up so that it comes out to the side, your foot will flick it up, remove itself, and it will land on the side of you. But for passes, you're gonna have to wait until it is coming up towards the other side and flick it a little bit harder so that it travels to the left. If you're having a little trouble and it just keeps going just straight up to your right side, what you can do is try to bring your knee to your chest when you flick it to pass. So it kind of gives it just a little bit more momentum. So that's some exercises to practice, is passing it to your foot, balancing, flicking up, and going into a chest roll. Or you could do the infamous foot to back to foot pass, which looks like this. And to be able to catch it with your foot is something that took me a while. It's not an easy thing. So again, be kind to yourself. So something that you can kind of practice to get your foot ready to even receive a hoop is going from a back roll into a foot catch. Now, don't even go into like a complete like straight arm back roll. Just have your arm bent and have it travel over the top of your back. Your focus needs to be on this left side of your body because your foot will be receiving the hoop, and as long as your right hand is sending the hoop in a straight line across your back, you will be able to catch it. So don't even look at your right hand. You need to be focused on your left side, looking that way. Now, when you are passing the hoop across the top of your back, try to send it so that it's landing a little bit in front of you. It'll make it a little easier for your foot to be able to catch it rather than having it back here and you'll lose your balance. So putting all of that together is being able to pass it to your foot, flick it towards your body, catch it with your left foot, and then you can go into like a step through into wedgie, or you can hand it off to your right hand to go into an iso flower. So now we are going to be talking about vertical knee hooping. I am not talking about horizontal knee hooping like this. So the contact point on your leg itself will be right here on the top of your thigh. You don't want it too high up kind of just right above your kneecap and on your shin. So remember with foot hooping, with the passing it off from your hand to your foot, I was talking about how you want to pass it off to the outside of your foot and focus on this part of the hoop. Well, I'm so out of breath. Well, it's the same for knee hooping. So when it is open here, you're going to aim for this part of the hoop and this part of your leg. So hooping to the left, inserting, and kind of like just moving your leg up and down, just like that, just like your foot was flicking upwards. And a tip with this, it's good if you're showing skin because the hoop likes to grab onto skin. I have hoop wax on, so that helps since I'm wearing pants. One knee pass that you can do is have it go over your back into a back roll. So to be able to do that, it's the same as if you're passing it with your foot. So on the upswing of the hoop, you are going to be bringing your knee up into your right ear, because that will automatically bring the hoop off your knee, and that momentum should, if it's on the upswing, should have it travel over your back. Now this is really difficult, so again, be kind to yourself. Jumping a little bit to give it that extra momentum over your back helps, since you don't have your foot to flick it harder. Instead of doing like a back pass, you can just pass it from your knee to your foot. So that looks like this. And then you can go into a foot pass or something. So how you do that is, if you're hooping on your knee, on the upswing, you are removing your knee and catching it with your right foot over in front of you here. So it's kind of in front of your left leg, and as soon as your foot hits the hoop, you are bringing your foot out to the side. That momentum from catching the hoop here with your foot and bringing it out to the side will give it momentum to keep spinning. About a knee to knee pass, and this will be starting on the left side. So you will still be hooping to the left. The one that I'm going to talk about will go from my left knee to my right knee, and we're going to start in your left hand, hooping to the left still, and now practice handing it off to your left knee. Practice that transfer. Now when you're comfortable with transferring it to your left knee, this pass is a lot different than anything else we've talked about, because until now the passing has been on the upswing and you'll send it across your body, but this one you will be passing it on the downswing. So if you are hooping on your left knee on the downswing, so now, that is when you are taking your left knee out and switching, putting your right knee in directly where your left knee was hooping. That transfer is very, very quick. Now when you are switching knees, your right knee, you are focusing on putting the contact point on the upper outside part of the hoop and the upper part of your thigh. So, down, down, switch upper part of the knee right here, and then it will go on your right leg. Thanks so much for watching. Don't forget to subscribe, like the video. I appreciate all your support. And yeah, happy hooping.